I got divorced maybe 5 years ago, and a lot of my social anxiety stuff came out then after that. I was like, oh shit, now I got to go back out into the real world and, try to date and do all of that stuff that I hadn't even, never really had to deal with because, the wife just sort of fell into my lap, so to speak, no pun intended, of course. And so there I am, I'm like 30, late 30 or 37 or something like that, and never really dated in my entire life. I tried going out and I was just completely freaked out. Like, I remember I was at a club and I went up to one girl, got rejected, and I was like, fuck, this is it. I can't do this. This is too much. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel so uncomfortable. It took a long time though. It took years before I realized what was going on. I had done tried to do pickup artist stuff, and that actually messed me up more than it helped me. Actually, yeah, it amplified my social anxiety and amplified my insecurities. And a couple of years ago, I realized or somehow found out, I don't remember exactly how I found out, that I had, that what I was experiencing was social anxiety. This word social or phrase social anxiety, knowing that, I think on Amazon I found his book, The Solution to Social Anxiety, and I listened to that and I was like, this is a guy who gets it. This is a guy who has been through it, understands, and it just felt like I wasn't alone in this, that there was somebody who actually, not just some, therapist who has never dealt with social anxiety in their life, or maybe they have, but they've never bothered to overcome it, and they're just going to tell me, go out and do a fear hierarchy and just go do it, and who cares? This was a guy who understood the pain of the fear and the rejection and the self-talk and the self-hatred, and listening to him, the empathy, the compassion was sort of like this continual voice. And then of course I started listening to his podcast, and it was this continual voice of, you can do this. Strange things started to happen to me without me even really doing anything. Women started hitting on me. Not very often, of course, but women would it was very strange. I remember I was at a company outing, but for Christmas, and we were at this club just hanging out, and there was this, she was like an intern. She was like early 20s, and here I'm like 40 years old, and she's totally coming on to me and, dancing up in my business. And that kind of thing had never happened to me before in my life, really. And then, sort of a similar thing happened later with another girl, and I ended up, dating her, and she's absolutely just beautiful, and it was just blowing my mind that these girls were even attracted to me. For example, I've never been able to speak in front of a group, even small groups. And the company that I work for, every 2 weeks they have a sort of a company-wide meeting, and we're talking 100 people or more in a room. And I had always wanted to get up there and speak, but I would never have even considered it. And so I then worked on that after working on some of Dr. Aziz's stuff, and eventually got up there and just absolutely killed it. I knocked it out of the park. Nobody had ever, gone up and spoken the way that I spoke up there, with sort of a genuine, putting yourself out there, passion kind of, in that kind of way. And I remember the CEO gets up there and he's like, boom. And he'd never done that before in the 3 years that I'd been at that company. He'd never done anything like that. It was just amazing. He was just so blown away himself because he was so filled with that same passion. So that was just amazing. That was an amazing experience. And I've just kept on speaking now. First of all, this is a guy who can and does understand you, understands the fear, understands the suffering, the pain, and all of that around social anxiety and talking to girls. And when you hear him speak or when you talk with him, you feel like he sees you, like he gets you. But this is also a guy who has been through that and had... Dr. Aziz didn't exist for Dr. Aziz, you know?
Yeah.
There was no Dr. Aziz before him. He had to do this himself, you know? He had to not only make it happen for himself, but then put himself out there for other people